Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Economics. I'm your instructor, Erica. And today we're gonna make, which I'm pretty sure is the most laborious pancakes that I've ever made in my life. So I don't know if you've seen on social media, the Golden Diner in New York has these like really thick and fluffy pancakes that people have been talking about online. And since I won't be flying to New York anytime soon, I figured I can try and make them myself. Now, these pancakes also come with this really delicious honey butter, allegedly, as well as a berry compote that goes on top. And so, if you haven't seen them, take a look online. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and put our aprons on and get started. So, first things first, we're going to start with adding 1 cup of flour into a bowl and then 1 packet of yeast. So I'm using the instant yeast, but you can do like the active yeast. For me, I've always had better luck with the instant than I have the active. Oops. So we're going to throw that in our bowl and give it a good whisk. Now, pancakes typically don't require yeast, but since these are like thicker and fluffier, I'm assuming that's why it has yeast in it. So we're going to whisk that together and then let that hang out to the side. While our yeast and flour mixture is hanging out, we will then take a 1/4 cup of water into a small saucepan, as well as 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. Oof. And we're going to heat that in our saucepan. And so we'll mix this together until it comes up to about 100 degrees or so. And give it a nice stir. So our mixture is almost done proofing, but before we finish off with that, let's get started on our special honey butter. So we're going to begin with a 1/2 cup of butter, and then we're going to move on to adding 3 tablespoons of honey. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. Now, the recipe does call for some salt, but I only have salted butter today. And so, because that already has salt in it, we're not going to really add any additional. But normally you would add salt. Okay, and then we're just going to whisk this together. Like so. Okay, so our butter is all done. And it's funny because this tastes just like the Golden Corral honey butter that you eat on the Golden Corral rolls. Super good. So we're going to let that set off to the side. And now we're going to start on our maple honey syrup. Now for our syrup, we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of butter, which I have already melted here in the pot. And then we're going to do 1/3 cup of honey. And then 1 1/2 teaspoons of maple syrup. Once again, omitting the salt because my butter is salted. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, which is an interesting ingredient for syrup. Now we're going to let this all come together. I'm actually going to whisk it instead. I'm going to let this simmer and then kind of let it come up and emulsify. And then it's going to add a little bit of water to it as well. I'm just going to do that right now. So our syrup is basically done, and we're just going to let that simmer and hang out on low for a while. Put that off to the side. And let's get started on our berry compote. So I have some strawberries, and these are hand-picked from the farm. I went strawberry picking with my husband maybe about a month or two ago, and I got these and they've just been in my freezer. And so we're going to start with some sliced strawberries, and we're going to sprinkle some sugar on top. It's probably a lot more than what I actually needed. And then also some cornstarch. Followed by some lemon juice. And of course, I get a lemon seed in there as always. And we're going to stir this up, and this is going to start that maceration process where it's going to bring out the sugars and the oils that are already in the strawberries naturally, and then the cornstarch is going to help that compote thicken up once we put it on heat. So now for our strawberries, let's go ahead and put those over the heat, and then let this come up to a nice simmer. I probably added a lot more cornstarch and sugar than I needed to. That's okay. We're learning. Never made this recipe before. Alrighty, so our syrup is pretty much, our strawberries are pretty much done. So now let's actually get started on our pancake batter. So we're gonna take a bowl and we're gonna add in a cup of flour, as well as some sugar, baking soda, and some salt. And then we're going to whisk all of this together. And set this to the side. Then in another bowl, because this recipe uses 87,000 bowls, we're going to start with 2 eggs, and then about a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. And then we're going to whisk this together. We want to make sure that's good and smooth. Now we're going to take our fermented flour mixture that had that buttermilk in it, and we're going to add that to our eggs and our oil. And then add in our dry ingredients. And then we're going to gently whisk this together. And it doesn't have to be super smooth because we don't want to overwork the batter. So now here's where things get a little bit interesting. So these are half cooked on a skillet or a griddle. Like you would put the skillet on top of a griddle and then you finish it in the oven. So I'm not going to fire up my griddle for this today. So we're going to cook it on a little hot plate. So I have these little cast iron skillets that we're going to use. Well, I only have 2, so we're going to have to alternate. I'm going to put some batter in, and then we're going to let those start cooking on our little hot plate. And then once they kind of start cooking around the edges, that's when we're going to pop it in the oven to let it start to brown on the top. And then we're going to flip it. I hope this works. I watched the chef do it on YouTube, and I was a little confused because he had some gadgets that I didn't have. So let's see. So here's what we're looking at about 2 minutes in. It's starting to cook on the edges, and we're getting those bubbles in the middle just a little bit. We'll give it a few more minutes, and I'm going to put this in the oven. I went ahead and put it in the oven. Now for this pancake, I'm going to try just making it regular. So I'm going to flip it in this little skillet once it finishes cooking on the bottom of it. And then we're going to see how we can compare the two from the oven and just the one that's made regular. Okay, so our first pancake kind of burned. So I'm going to try flipping this one like right now. And I'm starting to get smoke. Okay, hold on. Okay, I kind of burned that one too. So now we know, we know that they cook kind of fast, and so we will flip them much sooner. I also think I'm just going to probably avoid the oven because I think we can manage here on the hot plate. So I'll probably just let this one finish cooking, and then we will start anew. So here's pancake number 3, which I'm obviously kind of burning that one too. So I'm going to get one of these right at some point. Well, that was certainly an adventure. I ended up just cooking those pancakes on my stove, like my actual stove because hot plate was just not working. But I mean, here's what we got. These are certainly not the aesthetically pleasing pancakes that Chef Sam Yu made, but this is our version in home economics class. I don't know who certified me to teach. But anyway, so let's assemble these pancakes and then let's try them out and see what we think. So we're going to first start with our berries. Give a nice little dollop on top. And then Chef Sam Yu said we put the syrup on next. It's kind of coagulated a little bit. And he said, give a nice helping of the syrup. That feels like too much. But okay. And then a nice dollop of that honey butter on top. This is like a bajillion calories. Okay. This is kind of what it looks like. Okay. Should we get some butter on it? Oops. Okay, here we go. This is interesting because the pancakes themselves don't have like a lot of flavor. It's basically like all the toppings that you add to it that kind of gives it the flavor. Oh my God, we were actually supposed to put lemon zest on this. Hold on. Okay, let's see if that made a difference. Okay, now I taste the lemon. But I think what I said still stands. The pancakes themselves are, dare I say, a little bland, right? But the honey butter is good. Obviously, the strawberry compote is good. The syrup is interesting, definitely. Because you can taste, like, I don't know, it doesn't taste like soy sauce itself, but you can taste like, oh, this is syrup, but something's off. Or right, depending on how your taste buds work. So the question is, would I make these again? Absolutely not. This was far too much for some pancakes. Aunt Jemima gets the job done a lot quicker, faster, cheaper, all the things. But would I try these in New York made by the Golden Diner? I would. I would try it and see like how they're supposed to taste professionally, but they're not bad. They're just a lot of work for, in my opinion, a little payoff. But let me know if you've had them, if you've been to New York and been to the Golden Diner and you've tried them. Do you think they're worth it? Would you try them? And yeah, so I'm going to eat these because I worked far too hard to throw these away. So be sure to continue to tune in. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, class dismissed.